There is a stunning new poll out of the red state of Georgia in which Democratic presidential challenger Joe Biden is winning against Donald Trump by 1 point. This is absolutely and completely insane and probably not indicative that Biden is going to win Georgia. And I want to talk about that in a moment. There's actually a lot to talk about here. And this is really going to get us into a discussion of the role of polling going forward from now until November 3rd. The last time, let's start in Georgia. The last time that a Democratic presidential candidate won Georgia was 28 years ago. It was Bill Clinton in 1992. It was a squeaker. Bill Clinton winning by 0.5% of the vote over George H.W. Bush. But notice, if you're watching, that there was a third party candidate, Ross Perot, who did get 13% of the vote in Georgia. So the last time that a Democrat won Georgia without a significant third party candidate was 1980, 40 years ago, when Jimmy Carter defeated Ronald Reagan. But that was Jimmy Carter's home state. So the last time, stick with me here, that a Democratic presidential candidate won Georgia in a two-way race when Georgia was not their home state was 1960, when John F. Kennedy defeated Richard Nixon brutally, 62-37. That was 60 years ago. So when we see a poll today that says Biden's winning by 1 in Georgia, to me, it's a signal that it could be a bad November for Trump. It's not really a signal that Biden's going to win Florida. Georgia. The average in Georgia is still Trump winning by 1.6. But the important thing about the latest CBS News poll, which has Biden +1, is that it's using a likely voter model instead of a registered voter model. And I've talked to you before about the importance of this. If you just survey adults, that's considered the least accurate because half the country doesn't vote. If you survey registered voters, it is considered more accurate because you're at least restricting the poll to people who are registered to vote. Many registered voters don't vote, but it's more accurate than just all adults because many adults just aren't even registered and they never vote. Likely voter is arguably, if done correctly, the most accurate. And so that's a good thing. That's a good sign that as we start to see registered voter models become likely voter models as we close in on November, the polling should become more accurate. That being said, this poll that has Joe Biden winning by 1 in Georgia has a 3.4% margin of error. So what that means is the poll could actually be, in reality, Biden is at 42.6 and Trump is at 48.4. Like that's what the margin of error means. So this poll, which has Biden +1, could actually be Trump +6 and be within the margin of error. So what that means is we should take nothing from this other than everybody's got to vote. Whether you think your state will be close or not, you've got to vote. I do not believe Trump will win Georgia. But if enough polls say it's tight, maybe Trump has to spend money there. Maybe Trump has to campaign to Georgians. That's a victory. Getting Republicans to have to spend money in Georgia, in Texas, etc., that's a good thing. So the big picture of this sort of battleground and moderate red state polling is that Trump is now, according to new polling, losing by 4 in North Carolina, losing by 1 in Georgia. There is some Texas polling that has Trump down. The meaning of it is this is a really bad presidency. That's the takeaway. Given the hyper polarized nature of the country right now, when you look at these traditionally red states and you see that it looks like it's close, that means that there are some partisan right wingers that are realizing this is so bad that I'm, at least as of right now, not yet committed to support Donald Trump. MAGA will be MAGA. Trump will still get tens of millions of votes. That's an indictment of our country, no doubt. But there is actually some reason that is injecting itself, embedding itself in the brains of some committed right wingers. But we can't forgive the ignorance. If our population had been better at critical thinking and had done 10 minutes of actual research back in 2016, Trump never would have been the nominee and certainly never would have become president of the United States. Many of the unnecessary coronavirus deaths that we've had would not have happened, and that number is likely to hit 160,000 in the next day or two. So what we want to do here is understand what's happening so that it doesn't happen again, starting with this November. But we can't forget how it happened. We can't ignore that it could happen again. And it still might happen again in November if we don't vote. So to go back to Georgia for a moment, it's not just that there's a margin of error and Trump might actually be winning. Like that's one interpretation would be, okay, Biden's +1, but you look at the margin of error, could really be Trump +6. That's one part of it. The other part of it is when you look at the history of voter suppression in Georgia, when you look at the planned voter suppression in Georgia, it should give us zero confidence that these close states are even going to have a shot at going our way unless we completely overwhelm the voting in November. So it's a sad reality. There's a lot we're up against right now, and it includes 5 or 6 different ways in which Donald Trump is going to try to suppress the vote. We have to accept it and work with it. And what that means is so overwhelming voting turnout. And every election, both sides say it, our side's motivated, we're going to have record turnout. And very often, particularly among some voting groups, it doesn't happen. We actually have to do that to overwhelm Trump kneecapping the post office, voter purges, limiting vote by mail, and on and on and on. That's the only way forward.